by what it is what it is. What it is what it is, brother.
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it.
Hey there, I'm Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso. And you remember way back when I spoke with Shawn Michaels and he didn't particularly like losing titles? Well, he's far from the first or last wrestler to let their own hype get to their head. No. You see, the world of wrestling is actually full of egomaniacs and narcissists. And unfortunately, it's usually those people who get strapped to a rocket and sent to the top. I mean, not always, but mostly. And I can think of no one who personifies that statement more. No one who is more known for being at the top of the game. No one whose delusions amp their own egomania than
Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan.
Now, you also may remember in the past that we've discussed him. Here's the highlight reel of that video.
You played bass, and you, how did you audition for Metallica?
They needed a bass player, and I was coming off a roll from not hearing back from the Rolling Stones.
The weird thing I always found about Hogan is he's achieved so much in the business, yet he had to make things up in his book.
Not a Hulk Hogan thing, and I thank you very much. Cliche, but it's not me. It really isn't.
Hulk Hogan has arrived! Hulk Hogan back in the impact zone! I don't think things went according to the way that Hulk Hogan thought they were going to go down here. Hulk Hogan!
And so I don't like talking about Hulk Hogan's penis, but I've already tried to explain to you, I gave up my right as Hulk Hogan to have Hulk Hogan have any privacy.
Hulk Hogan once claimed that he was offered a contract in the UFC.
That he used to wrestle Pride fighters back in the 70s.
He's also said he was supposed to be the lead in The Wrestler.
He was once scouted by both the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds.
The George Foreman grill was supposed to be the Hulk Hogan grill. He once claimed that he wrestled 400 days a year. He claimed to outdrink John Belushi after WrestleMania 2.
You were discussing the length of your penis on Bubba's radio program. Any doubt?
Well, it's not mine, because mine isn't that size, but we were discussing the length of Hulk Hogan's.
Seriously? So, you
No,
were
seriously,
discussing...
I do not have a tenant.
You see, I can spend the time here talking about all the times Hogan's ego screwed over up-and-coming talent or people who are in line to get a push. Today I'm just going to show you how Hogan's love for himself completely derailed almost all of Macho Man's major achievements. Our story begins at WrestleMania 4, when the Macho Man Randy Savage competed in and won a 14-man tournament for the vacated WWF Championship. Also competing in that tournament was on-screen best bud, Hulk Hogan, who took on Andre the Giant in a rematch of their legendary WrestleMania 3 encounter. Except this time they'd end the match in a double disqualification, meaning that neither man would be going to the main event. Of course that didn't matter because they actually would. They actually both would anyway. Andre would appear in the corner of his current mentor, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Hogan would appear alongside his Mega Powers partner, Randy Savage. During the match when things looked a little grim for Macho Man, Hogan swooped into the ring in his best friend's defense and hit the $1 Million Man with a chair, allowing Macho Man to hit his elbow drop and get the 3 count. Macho won his first world championship because of a Hogan interference. I mean, Hulk basically went in there and won the belt for him, and he celebrated as such following the match.
The respect that she so rightly deserves. Now she's hoisted up on his shoulder with the...
Of course, the following year at WrestleMania 5, Hogan would actually find himself in the main event match across the ring from Macho Man, who he would beat for that same championship. Fast forward to WrestleMania 8, when Macho Man would once again compete for and win the WWF Championship off the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And what a legendary match. What a main event on the biggest show of the year. Except it wasn't. It wasn't the main event that year. Because despite being a match between two of the all-time greats, and that match being contested for the company's grand prize, and this being the Super Bowl of wrestling, only comes once a year, big celebration, it was decided that a much better main event would be Sid Justice against, you guessed it, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. And not only was that a main event that nobody asked for, that was a match that nobody wanted. Macho would eventually switch companies, following Hogan into the WCW, and winning his first WCW World Championship at World War III 1995, becoming the last man standing out of 60 men. Except he wasn't, because Hogan also wasn't eliminated in that match. If word of mouth is to be believed, it seems that Hogan was initially booked to get thrown over the top rope, thus being eliminated by a pre-Big Show giant. Hogan mid-match called a mulligan, using his extra stroke in the company to call a change of booking. On the fly. On live pay-per-view. In the main event. Gotta love that creative control. Gotta love it. I mean, it's not like that's a useful utility that someone could use to, that somebody could use and abuse irrationally and unprofessionally. Hogan demanded that Giant pull Hogan out from the bottom rope, thus not actually eliminating him, so that this way he could lay claim to Macho Man's belt. And good call, Hulkster. I mean, we wouldn't want to make you look bad. You're just one of the biggest stars that the industry has ever conjured up. You have a wrestling resume unrivaled and have been as big a part of pop culture as you have wrestling. But yeah, no, you're right. If you let the Giant, a guy 3 times your size, eliminate you in a claustrophobic 60-man Royal Rumble, that would definitely be the end of your career. I mean, you're not an egomaniac, you're just looking out for yourself. You gotta stay strong, Why put other people over when you still have a couple more years in the biz? Why not just make it all about you? It's better that way. Hogan would then proceed to interrupt Macho Man's celebration to claim that he wasn't eliminated, and that he was taken out of the match unfairly, to the dismay of everyone in attendance and me watching at home.
Randy Savage, we've got to congratulate you. You are the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Before I say anything, Macho Man, I'm gonna ask everybody in here, did I go under the bottom or not?
You should be basking right now in your victory here tonight.
Bottom line, this is my dream. I told you that when I came into the WCW. You didn't go over the top rope, and I didn't go over the top rope.
Hogan spent the better part of what was initially booked as a Macho Man celebratory segment to whine and bitch about an ending he booked himself. It should be mentioned that throughout Macho's run with the belt, Hogan was mostly present, making run-ins for his friend and making his title run equally about himself. Because in Hogan's long, storied, tenured career, the only person he knew how to put over was himself. Because Hogan would not give up the spotlight, and it would wind up casting a shadow over Macho Man's career. In January of '96, Macho would once again regain the WCW Championship. And who was by his side? You guessed it, Hulk Hogan. Hogan celebrated as if he was the one who won the belt, and this got under the skin of Savage, who finally took to calling him out on his bullshit. Hogan laughed the notion off and acted as if Macho Man was overreacting, but you know something? He's kind of not. I mean, you're just kind of a dick, aren't you? Maybe not do that. Maybe be a professional. Out of all my favorite Macho Man promos, this might top the list, because this feels the most real. And to be fair, it probably actually is.
You're celebrating this match like you won it. I won it. You're clowning around the ring. Don't embarrass yourself like that, brother. I am the WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Congratulations on being the new heavyweight champion, brother. But I might add, with a little help from your best friend, man, I would love to have the first shot at the title, brother.
2 years later, Savage would pick up another world title win at Spring Stampede, defeating Sting to become the holder of the big gold belt. That run would be short-lived, however, because Hogan would beat him and win the title the very next day. The following year, Savage would once again become world champion at Bash at the Beach, before once again losing it the very next night to guess. No. I'm not gonna tell you. Guess. I want you to guess. Go ahead. First name that comes to mind is probably the right one. Go ahead. Let's see what you got. That's right. Hulk Mr. Nanny Hogan. And you see this? You see that? You see that spray tan banana over there? That is why we can't have nice things. Thank you. Hogan, if there was a trophy big enough to award you, I would, because I just want to thank you for all that you've done, not for wrestling, but for yourself. And holy shit, all of this was brutal to get through. I mean, it's like trying to watch one of my videos. I don't know why you people do it, but you like to torture yourselves, and you know what, it's 2020, I think, when I'm putting this video out, so, you know, I'm not gonna kink shame. Macho Man, despite all he's accomplished, all he's ever done, didn't really get the chance to emote what being world champion felt like. Because Hogan was too busy doing that. Hogan was always there to make it just enough about himself to make you want to tear the last remaining follicles of hair from your and Hulk Hogan's heads. Now I get that a lot of people are going to say, V, wrestling's fixed. It's worked. Hogan didn't have a hand in any of that. He was just doing his job. Bullshit. And if you're saying that, maybe you don't know Hulk Hogan. Or strike that, maybe you know Hulk Hogan, but maybe you're unaware of Terry Bollea, the man behind the gimmick. This is a guy who went to management and said, Brett versus Yokozuna is a main event. It's just not gonna cut it, brother. Put me in there after and let me take the belt off the big guy. This is a guy who went to management and said, hey, you know that Brian Pillman dude, brother? He's really getting over, man. Put him in the Tower of Doom match so I can squash him. Hogan's place in nearly all of Macho Man's title victories is no coincidence. It's not a questionable booking decision made by others. It was Hogan lobbying that he was more important. Even more important than whoever was holding the belt. Time and time again. And Macho Man is far from the last career Hogan's fingerprints would wind up all over. But that's a story for a different time. So with that being said, I'm the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso, and if you like the words that came out of my mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's plenty more where this video came from. Follow me on Twitter because, hell, why not? It's not considered stalking if it's on the internet, am I right? And don't forget to join the Discord. I don't have anything catchy to add to that, but just join it. Just go do it. And if you have a free moment of time and a free $1 to spare, then head over to my Patreon, where for just $1, you too could help keep this boat afloat. And if you don't have that $1, but you do have a free moment of time, then hit the share button. It will help me out tremendously.
VTart, oh.